episode of Accurate Hunts.
Unzip it from it was hanging outside and I unzipped it from the bottom up, and the wrong thing to do. I think you were saying you and Alex watching it and just having a
Well, at these videos, because his friends filmed it more for comedic value.
Yeah. People talk different than me, different accents, different things are going on. People ask me what my favorite type of deer to hunt is, what's my favorite caliber. I'm like, just a different.
No answers.
That was really hard on the ego that night.
And we came across some locals. That's one way to describe it. A couple of redneck hillbillies with 4 teeth between the 2-year-old in the back and everyone else in the car. And I said hello, and there wasn't much received from the other end, but we chopped some tree. Welcome to another episode of Accurate Hunts, the Life Outdoors. I am sitting in a shipping container out at Accurate Hunts HQ again. Jack, welcome to the show, Jack.
Thank you for having me.
Jack is a regular friend of the show in the background, and now he's in the foreground. So behind the scenes, Jack is in charge of all my web work. He's responsible for my amazing website, all the reels you see from all the episodes, all the posters and flyers and things that we put out. So thank you for doing all those things, and I apologise for all the voice messages you get.
That's all right. It paid off in the end.
I have to decide. It paid off in the end.
Yeah.
What are you alluding to? Did something happen?
I don't know. A couple of things could have happened.
A couple of things could have. I was nearly not going to record tonight because it's 1 a.m. and we're pooped because we got here this time last night, maybe a bit later.
Yeah.
That was nearly 2. I had 2 or 3 hours sleep, got up, set up camp, and we had a father-son combo come in for a education course. And I've had a great time with them. They had a great day too. And Jack jumped on board, and he's been learning a bit today too. And we'll get into why you're learning and whatnot. But it's been a big day. There's lots of highs. And other than the depths of hell we went down into, there's no lows other than that physical one.
Where is here?
Sorry?
Where's here?
Where's here?
Yeah, I don't think you said where we are.
We're at Accurate Hunts HQ.
Oh, okay.
That's as much as we can.
That's all you get.
That's all you get. You get the address when you book a hunt.
Coordinates? Okay.
No coordinates, that's for sure. It's 100 degrees left of Nunya State Forest or something I said last time. Yeah. No, it's been good having you here, and I appreciate it, but we've been talking about recording for a while, and some things have happened today that we'll talk about, but that wasn't why we were going to record.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said to you from the start, I really enjoy hearing people's firsts and journeys towards achieving goals and things. And you're a pretty savvy, tech-minded, listed sort of person, and you put up a post on, was it the Australian Hunters Club, I think,
yeah,
about your journey into firearms.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen anyone break it down like that.
Well, yeah, when I was looking, I was always like trying to find this information.
Looking for what?
How to get started. And I would find conflicting reports.
Well, why did you want to start? Why did you even want to get into guns?
I don't know if I wanted to get into guns, but I actually was thinking about this the other day, and I realized the first time I ever wanted to do something around hunting was I was watching an episode of Jamie Oliver back in the day. He's like a Great Escape season or something. And he went to Italy and he had to slaughter a lamb. And it was a really confronting experience for him. I was probably like 14 or 15 at the time. And one quote that stuck with me that he said was, if that offends you, you shouldn't eat it. And so ever since then, I've thought, okay, I've eaten so much meat in my life.
Yeah,
I've never taken the responsibility of consuming it ever. And so that was always an unsettling feeling for me. But I never did anything about it until I couldn't ignore it any longer.
When was that? COVID, something? Post-COVID?
Post-COVID, I was actually at my mum's place in Canada on Vancouver Island. And we were just chilling. It was summer. I think it must have been 2022. We're just in the backyard, and this big mule deer with velvet came and just sat in the backyard. and it was probably 2 meters away from me and another 4 meters away from the barbecue. And
I put two and two together.
yeah. So that one really pushed me over the edge. I'm like, okay, when I got back to Australia, I was looking for something. The first thing I found was the Hunters Club, Australian Hunters Club. So
It's because it's got good SEO.
yeah, I think you mentioned it before, like working with tech and stuff like that. Like I've been listening to all these hunting podcasts, and there's always a comment like, "Oh, these city people don't understand," and I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, that's me.
Yeah.
Here I am working in like the middle of Sydney City, and the company I worked for at the time was in Silicon Valley. Like you can't get more that guy than me. Except that I had this interest. I'm like, but I don't know anyone who does this. So I just joined the club, not really knowing what I'm doing, and I started from there.
I think the Australian Hunters Club is interesting. This episode will come out after the one that I did with Chris. And he's, owner of Australian Hunters Club and creator, I suppose. But it's a unique club for a few reasons, and it doesn't work for everyone, but it's a real example of you get out of it what you put into it. And there's a few people that complain they don't get anything out of it, and I'm like, well, what did you put in? And they don't get anything back because they don't invest. And I think that's how we initially interacted, was you posted something or a question about it. I think it was you posted about firearm storage in a rental.
Yeah, because
Put a safe. Can I put a safe in a rental?
that was one of the big blockers for me. Money was one, storage was one, which didn't really get solved until later. Just the whole licensing process. Ego was another issue.
Still
having to just start something new all over again.
And were your family supportive of like a whole new hobby, start from scratch?
I didn't tell them that I even had the interest.
Right.
So I kept it pretty close to the card, like kind of close to the chest. So I didn't really want them to have a say. That's I didn't want to.
Happy about it now.
I think that's a journey. I'm
talking about your wife and kids.
Yeah. They've come around a lot.
Accepting.
Yeah, especially the kids. I think they just like when Dad has adventures. As long as my daughter's favorite animal is koala, so I don't think I'm going to be hunting koalas anytime soon. So they're safe.
They're a bit chewy too.
Okay,
So I've heard.
I'll let her know.
So they're supportive, but extended family.
Yeah, I don't know how they found out, but they found out. And I got concerned emails. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, is everything going okay? What's going on? Da, 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 da. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I never thought about that happening. My mum wasn't keen on me getting my license initially, but she didn't send me a concerned email. She just told me I'm an idiot. She didn't understand why I needed one. No, I needed guns.
Yeah. And my parents are a lot of Canadians, so I get concerned emails. Yeah.
Yeah, but only recently Canada's gone a little bit more anti-gun.
Do you think so?
Well, that's what we see as far as changing of gun rights and things.
I'm not paying close attention.
Yeah.
At least where they're from, or where my wife grew up on Vancouver Island, there's a lot of hunting going on. It's kind of like the edge of the wilderness there.
I told you the other day, that's where Shocky lives, Jim. Still over there. So, well, tell us about the storage thing. What was the issue? You're in a rental.
I'm in a rental, and my landlord lives next door, essentially. So
You didn't ask.
I knew he would say no.
Okay.
Because I can't even put a hook on the outside lattice to like hang flower pots. So storage, drilling into cement, like that's an inches. Yeah, that's an automatic no. So I'm thinking, do I just not let him know and just fill it in later, or do I like higher storage? But then I saw that was going to be more expensive after a year.
I can picture you like in a prison like making other noises, pots and pans, so you can quickly drill a hole in the brickwork so you can't hear it.
Just wait for fireworks or something.
It's a New Year's Eve forest.
Just find out cough. There's nothing.
Yeah, right. And then
Well, the other thing was,
store it.
do I get a safe that's 150 kilos or an over? And then that's just a huge thing in the corner of a small house.
Yeah. Any upstairs.
And it's very expensive. It's just one level.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I never considered that. So you went to you looked into storing elsewhere, paying for it.
Yeah.
And
it was more expensive than the 150 kilo safe.
Right.
This is in Sydney. And there wasn't really guaranteed there's spots anyway.
Who was that with? At the range? Something.
One of the ranges, yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up with a gun.
Yeah.
I wonder how that came about.
It ended up with I sent it to Newcastle first because
That's right, to your dad's place.
Yeah.
He's got a license or something.
He had tenants that had a license. So I'm like, okay, it's been in there. It's cops are happy with it. I'll just put another safe in there. But that's not so convenient to grab.
No. Well, yeah. I'm not that. I'm still an hour and a bit.
Yeah, but at least I don't have to drive through Sydney.
True. Yeah. And most of your recent hunting adventures have been with me anyway.
Yeah.
So
Well, Nundle was up north.
Yes, but I bought the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, talk about Nundle. So Nundle was a big experience for me. And what it was the annual Australian Hunters Club gathering, end of year function, whatever they want to call it. It's the first one I'd been to. And previous year's one was in Melbourne. This year's one was in Sydney. And they picked Nundle for some reason. I don't really know why, but it worked. And we'll get into that. Worked out. On the previous podcast, I've been challenged to shoot a deer in a state forest because I made some stupid comments, which it's not uncommon for me. Actually, with comments along the lines of, I don't understand why people think it's so hard to shoot a deer in a state forest. You just apply the same principles you have on private land into the state forest. And I did it a couple of, I'm trying to think of one fella, I spoke to him the other day, but it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember your name and I apologise. But they've come to me halfway through it, challenged me and said, I'll give you 2 or 3 days in the forest, see what you can do. And if you can't get it done by the end of the year, you have to eat a chili sandwich. And I ended up going into a state forest for 1 day, had some issues, left, whatnot. So I never really completed the challenge. And I was kind of giving up on it and was about to eat the sandwich. Like I was.
Metaphorically.
Yeah. And physically. I'd given up a little bit on it. And there was some stuff happening with the end of the other podcast and a slow start on this one and whatnot, just family and business. So hunting took a little bit of a turn there for a while, took a back seat for a little while. And then it really ramped up. And one of those things that ramped up was I booked a spot at Nundle. And I said, do you want to go or something? And we ended up going together. And it's the second time this has happened now. We left it. I picked him up at like Liverpool at 10 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to leave at 7.
Yeah, something. I'm a terrible packer. Something happened. I forgot something and couldn't find it. Anyway, we left late.
Shocker.
6-hour drive straight through. Yeah. Rocked in at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I slept in the car. I couldn't even bother setting up a swag.
Yeah.
Jack set up his
pulled out the hammock,
tied it between 2 trees. We had a really cool camp spot
it was nice.
that we had not planned and just rocked up on top of a mountain. And I set the alarm for 2 hours. Got up at 6. Sun up, packed up. Like, we'll just go for a hunt from here. Went around a little bit. Saw some really cool country. There's some really tall trees in there with no undergrowth and just grass. And
all those trees with the strip bark.
Yeah.
Kind of look like a porcupine.
Yeah. And we saw a heap of,
I'm not sure we figured out what that was.
What do we got? Not porcupines.
Echidnas.
I saw a fair few echidna too. I saw a dead red deer old, faded away to nothing. Kangaroos and wallabies and not a whole lot of eventfulness. Had a couple of snoozes.
Yeah, that was solid snooze.
That was some good snooze. And then that day sort of fizzled out and nothing much happened. We headed across to join the communal camp that started the next day, and we set up. We actually got lost, thanks to Chris and his terrible directions, but
Got lost a couple of times.
oh yeah. We circled back a few times, but we're very close. We're so close.
Just couldn't see it.
Just couldn't,
Yeah.
couldn't see that big sign that said straight home, stop, turn left here. Anyway, set up camp and we set up and had a chat with everyone, met everyone for the first time. Most people were, other than Chris, I don't think I knew anyone. Yourself and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was new. But had a good campfire and whatnot. And then you mentioned something the other day that I didn't think of, but you said everyone was a bit cagey when that conversation came up of where are you going tomorrow?
Well, it was funny because everyone was super friendly. Like, I introduced yourself, and then right before everyone went to bed, it's like, okay, what's the game plan for tomorrow? And there was just silence.
Because there was like, I want to say like 18 people, 16 people, something. There was a fair few. It's a big forest. But everyone was coy. As we were. We had a plan. We had some spots we wanted to get to. And we didn't really want other people coming. It's fine. We'll tell them about it when we got back. So anyway, I didn't realise that. I didn't think too much about that. But everyone was the same. So we headed off. We actually weren't as early as we wanted to be because Jack takes a little while to get ready.
Yeah, apparently.
This just doesn't happen straight away. This look takes some practice. Just before we recorded, he realised his shirt was inside out and had to turn it in the other way. Same shirt. He wore it Nundle around the wrong way. And we headed off and we were half an hour later than I sort of wanted to be, but didn't really matter. And we parked on the side of the road.
It was still before sunrise. It was still early.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I just wanted to be a little bit further in before sun came up. And we parked on the side of the road and moved in through a section and we weren't, we were hunting it, but it was just on our way to where we wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And we hadn't been where we wanted to be, so we were just making it up as we went. But we both I probably more mentally flagged it and you verbally flagged it. It's like, there's a lot of sign here. And when you say a lot, it was like the most we'd seen, but it still wasn't a lot.
Yeah. I was signed
like 3 footprints per square kilometre and, some fresh scat, a couple of, they picked the top off we could call it native rosemary, but unconfirmed. And we realised that was a pretty high grazing. Like that's red deer.
Well, we realised later.
Well,
because we thought, we'll push on and see what else we could find.
And we didn't find anything.
Yeah.
And we had another snooze.
Yeah.
On the grassy spot. That was nice. And then the day got really warm. It was predicted to, and it's no surprise, but we sort of pushed around in a bit of an area and didn't really see much. So we moved out and we said, look, we'll head back to the car, reset, get some drinks, and then drive and check out that other area in some pines. And we came across some locals. That's one way to describe it. A couple of redneck hillbillies with 4 teeth between the 2-year-old in the back and everyone else in the car. And I said hello, and there wasn't much received from the other end, but we chopped some trees that would cross the track. I don't know what the etiquette is there. A big tree had crossed the track, a pine, and I always carry an axe, and it's very sharp. And we lumberjacked that thing. It was quite fun.
We were kind of twiddling our thumbs at that point. Like,
we were just it was like middle of the day.
Yeah.
Burned some time. We had fun. We lumberjacked this thing.
Yeah.
And then we're like, that's cool. We dragged it out of the way. We literally drove like 400 meters and there was 30 trees down across the road and just like stick. A storm had come through and just wiped out all the trees. So we weren't going to chop that. But it meant that we just wasted half an hour.
We climbed over those trees.
We did.
Went to the top
some
of the hill.
passing, got some reception.
Yeah, you made like 100 phone calls.
Yeah, that was just a short day.
Yeah.
But yeah, a touch of reception. And then you said, we should go back to that spot we saw this morning and sit. I've never sat and waited It's not in my, like, I know it's a thing, but it's not in my playbook.
Yeah.
It's just not how I want to roll. It's too boring. So boring. And it turned out to be very boring for 99% of it. And so we headed back. We parked up, moved in, and it was later than I thought we should probably be there. It was 5:30 or so, 4 to 6. And I randomly just said, I'm just going to sit at the base of this tree. I was actually really looking forward to a snooze. And then I don't know how far you went, a little bit further, maybe just 150.
Over the other side of the knoll.
Yeah. And the deal was just sit and wait, sit and commit. And we never really discussed a pull-out time or anything.
They didn't really talk. I think by that time, like, morale was low. Yeah. So we weren't really up for, like, strategizing.
No, there was no real chin wagging happening.
No.
It was it was the last day. We were going home the next morning.
Yeah.
So this was we could have hunted the next morning, but we didn't really want to. We were going to pack up and go home. And it was getting late. I was bored. I was so bored, and no reception. So I'm like, every game on my phone that requires no reception, I'm playing it. I ended up watching a video that I downloaded on Netflix or something.
Deleted
and
old photos.
Yeah, went through the camera roll and deleted some old stuff. And I'm just watching a video.
Meanwhile, I'm keenly watching.
Hey, what were you doing?
I'm like looking at every possible angle.
Staring. And so happy. You're probably
glassing nonstop.
Yeah, I was not. No, I was definitely not. I was just watching my phone. It's not uncommon for me. And it was 7 o'clock. So it was like I don't want to say it was dark, but the sun had gone beyond the timbers.
Yeah.
So it hadn't gone down over the horizon, but it had gone behind the trees and wasn't far from going down the horizon, which we still had a fair bit of light left after that. And I went from watching my video, just looked up, looked down, and my brain said, what did you just see? And I looked up, and there was a freaking red deer, 120 meters away. And I got buck fever. I started shaking. I was so nervous. And I quickly turned my video off, and in turn, I actually turned it up. But I turned it off, and I got my camera out on the phone, and I've got a video, and I put it up. It's like 8 seconds. I said, there's a red deer over there. I'm going to put the phone down now and just shoot it. And then put the phone down. That's all I did. And then I got my backpack, turned it on its side. I was back up against a tree with a slope down in front. So I got the backpack, propped it up. Sorry, it was tall. Propped it up the tall way. Sat the gun on top like a yoke and looked through the scope. Couldn't find it. I was like, you're kidding. I've lost it. And then it just stepped out from behind the brush it was behind. How my heart was pumping. I forget a lot of things, and I'm not going to forget that feeling for a long time. I remember just this jackhammer feeling. And I'm like, I'm short of breath now talking about it because it reminds me. And I remember nearly forgetting the stupid fundamental stuff. Like, I nearly pulled the trigger and didn't have a round in it. And I had 270, and I was, happy with the gun, and I knew it was on target, and I just held. And I waited and took one step. And at the time, I thought it was a female because I literally glassed it, red deer, then put the phone up, took the video, called it a hind, put the phone down, put the gun up, gone, and then it came out again, presented, and took the shot, and saw it do its thing. Well, I don't know what you want to call it, but like a zombie. It was like a bit zombie-ish there, but they sort of hunch up a little bit and then run forward. I was really confident with the hit. And then it went out of sight down the bottom. And then it wasn't that far from me, but I couldn't see it. And I was so nervous that this thing had just gone. Mm-hmm. And I think at that point, from memory, I yelled out to you, Jack, I need help. That's the first thing I said. And the second thing I said very quickly was, good help, not bad help. Because in my mind, I'm like, you've just asked for help after firing a firearm. He probably thinks you've shot yourself.
Yeah.
Did that happen? Is that what you thought? What could you hear?
Well, I heard the shot go off, but I didn't know if the deer was going towards me. And if I just pop my head up, I'm just going to cop a second round. So I'm just going to wait till you say something.
His orange headband.
Yeah, which I lost. But
After at least. So anyway, I called out and you called back with something. And I said, I'm going to go down and see it. I've got to see it. Meet me at the bottom in between you and me. That's sort of where it ended up. And I went down 20 or 30 meters, and I'm pretty sure the next thing I said was a couple of expletives because I saw it dead on the ground. Turned out to be a red spiker in velvet. I yelled at the top of my lungs. I've never done that before. It's hard to explain what that deer meant because it's not only just I shot a deer, right? It was my first red in a state forest. I want to say my first red in Australia. Yeah, first red in Australia. First red in a state forest, first deer in a state forest. And then I had all the stuff, the emotional loading from the previous podcast stuff where everyone was jokingly, but
it was there.
It was there.
Yeah.
About not being able to shoot stuff in state forest and whatnot. And I'm always the one that was giving everyone else curry, so I was copping a fair bit back, and it was nice to get that monkey off my back and get it done. But just to get it done in a state forest was even better. In a short time, using a skill set that I already had from private land hunting, other than you saying, let's sit and commit.
Yeah.
It's not something
the one bit of advice that I listened to around the campfire.
It worked.
It worked.
It worked. And then the next chain of events was pretty fun too, because I got to share it with Jack. He came down and we high-fived, and there's some, high-pitched squealing coming out of me and all sorts of things. And then in the distance, we hear, Dodge.
Oi, Dodge.
Is that you? And it was one of the other fellas from camp. Yeah. He had heard the shot, crested up over his ridge. He was bow hunting.
Yeah.
And the next valley over, coincidentally, and crested over, called out. Anyway, I said, could do with some help if you're keen. And he said, yeah, no worries. So he come on down. And then he got on his radio and he rang his other buddy. And he was another couple of valleys over, and he was rifle hunting. So he worked his way over, and ended up being 4 of us there. And it was very efficient.
Oh, I'm thankful. Yeah, and they were 2 fit guys too.
Yeah, very, very fit. And switched on as far as location. I would have tracked us out the same way we came in, but they took us out a slightly different way because they'd actually flagged that little valley that we sat in as promising. And they were going to sit there, but they ended up going elsewhere.
I think they were like a bit late getting back or something.
And ended up going to one closer or whatnot. So otherwise we all would have been hunting that. And I actually think the deer came from your direction and you missed it because it was facing me, and it had I think it had either come around your bend or who knows. I only looked up and saw it.
So I should have been on my phone doing something else, and then I would have seen the deer pass.
Sit and commit is code for Netflix and chill. If you've got a downloaded video because you had no reception. So we processed it, and when I say processed, I mean physically, because I had not processed this thing emotionally at all, fully. But we started the breaking down. Everyone grabbed game bags out of their bags.
It was a real collective effort.
It was great, and it went real smooth. And I took 4 wheels and back straps and the head and neck. I actually still have the head at home.
And the heart?
I still have the heart, still in the freezer. But I still have the head, and everyone's like, what are you going to do? It's in velvet. I was like, I don't know. I know what's going to happen.
Nubs.
Yeah, they were just nubs. That, when I say spiker, it would probably branch off, but it wasn't a big stag. I reckon it was a second head, very young. But when you boil or macerate, that just all disappears because it's just balls of growth, basically. It hasn't turned into bone yet. So I macerated him, and what I ended up with was just these basically long pedicles with a bit of growth on top, 2 or 3 inches of honeycomb. That was cool. It was sitting in my garden as a garden ornament. Didn't make the trophy room. But we let the
high bar.
It is.
Make your trophy room.
It is. We took 4 legs and back straps with hair on. I think we just left the hair on for the quarters. Is that right?
Yeah.
That was and then just ended up leaving the gut pile because I took the whole neck. The reason I took the neck because I got nearly my favorite cut of venison is also necko, which is just neck put through the span saw and then slow cooked, and then you can do anything with it then. And then they kept the head because that was pretty interesting. So we went back to camp.
Well, let me just say
I miss
that processing you did was out of control. Like the knife work was, I was watching the whole thing, and because I've never seen, so I only had one experience before that with myself, and I guess that's another story, but it didn't go well. So contrasting that, I think it was only a couple of weeks later.
It was pretty soon after.
Watching you do that to this giant animal was something else. I remember you holding the back strap, and it was like going down to your feet, and that was pretty cool.
It's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And it was heavy. We all took, with the 4 of us, I think we ended up with just a quarter each. And I think I had the back straps. Well, someone had the back straps, then I had the head and the neck. It was a nice even load out. It wasn't like 2 people doing it. It would have been 2 trips for us.
Mm.
We would have went out and come back. So very grateful for those 2 fellas for hanging out. And yeah, it did go pretty smoothly. I don't know, everything just went smooth. It was a front shoulder shot. So there was only a minimal amount of meat damage on the shoulders, tucked in behind the shoulder blade. Bullet stayed in, so I pulled that out.
Mm-hmm.
Still have that at home on the mantelpiece. Made the trophy room. And then what else happened? No, I was on the way out. We sort of made a bit of a pact to not say anything when we walked into camp and just see what happened. And the other boys actually got to camp before us, and they walked in with backpacks full of meat. And everyone was like, oh, what happened? And then it finally came out that I shot it. And yeah, it was a good moment.
It was good, man.
It was good to share. It was good to share with them, good to share with you. It was my first and your first time you'd seen a deer, my first red deer.
Yeah.
Your first time you'd seen, that's a big bug. I'll swap that in a minute. And then, then we just partied that night away.
Did some trivia?
Trivia? Yeah, that's right. I'd organised to do trivia. And everyone was waiting on us to do it because we shot it. It was like 9 o'clock, 9:30 or something by the time we got back. And we ended up playing trivia at like 11 o'clock at night. And you and I have done a few late nights driving and this current one.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, unless you've got any other red deer conversation, but I want to talk about what you just mentioned, your first go.
Oh, first go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that was that was a part of the journey.
No, we've skipped a few things.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the goat because I want to say that's gotta go. That thing's big. You also you went from Australian Hunters Club, and you're still a member.
Yeah.
To Witch Carry Hunters English Club.
Uh-huh.
I think I invited you down or something. I can't remember what that was for.
Yeah.
Then you stayed and you met a few people and things, but what happened between getting your license and then? Nothing? Range? Did you go to the range?
Oh, yeah, I did
you spent a day with Alex.
Yeah, I did. I spent a day with Alex and we sort of walked around the bush, saw some goats, but it was kind of too late in the day. And then I did like I don't know what it's called, introduction to rifle shooting.
Where at?
What's the one? Western Sydney. It's...
Yes, Cecil Park?
No, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what it was. But anyway.
Over there, Kepps Creek?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
You shoot. You go in and you shoot, right? So 50 meters.
Oh, St. Mary's.
Yeah, that's
it's all
all.
complex. Yeah, right. Sorry.
So yeah, there was an issue with my rifle and I didn't get to shoot it really. I shot a few times and then they had a look at my rifle and they're like, oh, there's something wrong with the scope. So I was using a 22 for the rest of the time.
What was wrong with the scope?
The elevation turret was maxed out. So it was just on 0, but yeah, there's something wrong with it. Still not exactly resolved. Extra protein, go on.
No, he can live over there.
Yeah, so I mean, I hadn't shot it really, and we were talking about this earlier. I mean, during this weekend, is you do the R license, you do all the license safety, all this
A
stuff.
lot of emphasis on safety.
No one shows you how to shoot, really.
No, you're on your own.
Because even when I was in the race, I'm like, you guys are just gonna let me shoot this? Like, what's going on?
It's an odd feeling. It must be an odd feeling.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, but yeah, it must be odd.
So that brings us to the goat.
Yeah.
So probably not the best etiquette of all time. Hopefully I get a pass, but I was going to like a men's camp, like with church, and I didn't know the guy who owned the property directly, but my pastor did. So I asked him, hey, I know people have hunted here before. Can you ask if I can bring my rifle? And I didn't get a direct answer back. I don't know what the conversation was. So I'm like, look, I'll just bring it. We arrived there early, and I'll just ask, like, hey, I have the rifle. Is it fine? Is it? And there was going to be 20 people on this, 20 plus people on site. So there was a safety concern, but he was okay with it. So he said, oh, don't do it on the Saturday morning because we don't know, like there's people still arriving. And then I had a reception there, and I went out in the morning, just went out to pee first thing. And I just, lift up my head and I notice, oh, there's 8 goats.
This was down the south coast somewhere.
Yeah.
GPS coordinates, but pretty hilly country.
Yeah, it's like Little David River.
Yeah, right. Didn't have to name the location, but
I mean, there's a lot of area.
Yeah. So you're on one side of the river looking up the other side.
No, so I was looking down, and they were on the same side of the river as me.
Okay.
This is just before like the drop off starts. So I just, I had grabbed my bun. I was just going to watch them. And I was like, oh, I'll take a picture of them. And I sent it to the owner, the property owner. And he's like, oh yeah, you can shoot those. And so all of a sudden it's on. Grab the rifle. And this is my first time having a rifle in the bush ever. And I'm by myself. So it's a strange feeling. I ended up pushing the goats off, and they went down and around, and I found them again, and I ended up going around and stalking. I probably got around 40 meters, but I could see them. They were down, but directly behind them was cliff, like rock and water. I'm like, oh, I don't know that I can shoot that, like ricochet issues and all that kind of stuff. And the other side of the river is not their property. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I was like pretty disappointed because I'm like, here's my chance.
You made a good choice though, but not taking the shot. Ethically.
I mean, I could have probably made different decisions where I could make an ethical shot, but I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I ended up going out the second morning a bit more prepared. Mm-hmm. And I figured they'd probably make the same loop. And so I went out a bit earlier, and I was so the valleys or the gullies coming down to a river, and the river's maybe 30 meters across. So, and this is cold, like this is close to winter at the time. It was probably like 3 degrees in the morning. So I sit on one face and looking at the other face, and I could hear him, and it wasn't too long before I could see him as well. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I shoot him now. What do I do?
Next step.
So I figured I'm not going to get that much closer to them by going down. So I'm just going to shoot him from here. I think I went 30 meters more down, and I found a nice tree that had like a wire branch. Mm. So I just put the rifle in there and found the goat. It was in the crosshairs. I don't know, like I would just shoot it, I guess. And I shot it, and I thought I missed because it had zero reaction. I was like, oh, I've stuffed this. But then it took a knee. I was like, oh, what's it doing? And then it took another, and then it rolled. And then I was just doom, doom, bang on the riverbed, filling it like this huge stone. And then I was freaking out, not at all prepared for success.
I can't remember whether you rang me or text me, but
I sent you a voicemail, I think, a voice message, and I was like huffing, like, cause I was walking up the hill because I was going to put my rifle down. And this is a tight schedule on this weekend. Like, we have to be back for the first session at 8 a.m. and I think it's like 6:30 by this time. Yeah, so I'm like, it's go time. So I put my rifle away. I head down with the backpack. Did I bring someone? I think I brought 2 other guys with me because they could hear the gunshot. It rang out loud. So we go down and it is steep. Like, you're on your butt the whole way down. Getting trails, ghosts. That was scary, actually. I'm like, this is maybe not a good idea. But we got down and then I could see the goat. It was on the other side of the river. I found like this little rock, like a step up, where I could cross the river. I needed like a pole vault to get across it there. I ended up splitting my pants getting across the river. But,
job's on.
I have a job to do. It's like, I got to get to this thing. So I go across, I find the goat, I poke it in the eye, I do all the things, take a selfie. I didn't clean it up or put it in the right pose or whatever, but here it is.
You like that, Sid?
Yeah. And then I'm looking back, I'm like, I'm feeling the weight of the goat now. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting across this river. It's flowing fast and it's freezing. So I have to think of something else. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm just dragging the goat down to the beach. And I just slip and fall into the river anyway. So I'm like, oh, this is cold. I'm still holding on to the goat.
Was it? Wait,
No, I couldn't touch.
I touch the bottom.
Like in the middle, like once I got.
Oh, you were swimming?
Yeah, I was swimming.
Oh.
So like,
What are your phone stuff? Or was that already back?
I mean, the phone is waterproof, so as long as it stays in my pocket, it's fine. Yeah. So, yeah. So I slipped in the water. That part was shallow, but I'm wet now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pull this goat across. So I'm swimming across, and my 2 mates are on the other side, and they're filming.
Yeah,
which is fun.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah. And then I get across, and my friend's like, "Look, you have like 20 minutes we need to get back up this hill before our first session starts." So
I'm not yawning because your story's boring.
yeah, we're pretty late here.
I'm yawning because it's nearly 2:00.
Yeah, and
Don't rush there.
a couple hours sleep last night.
Yeah, we're running behind schedule.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you drag them across. The boys are filming you and give you a 20-minute bill.
Yeah, and we got, I don't know, maybe like 200 meters to go up. Steep stuff. But I'm thinking, I should just stay and cut it up. But they're saying like, hey, everyone like agreed that we'd be there on time. We'd be prompt. So I'm like, I knew he was right, but it's news I didn't want to hear it. So what we ended up doing is we just found a shaded area in the river, just like an offshoot, put the goat in there and put a big rock on top.
Did you cut it or not?
No, just nothing.
Yeah.
And then just put a big rock.
Hope it didn't float away.
Yeah, I thought like yabbies would, like, I didn't know what would happen. Like, that didn't come up in my YouTube search results.
You said you were YouTubing what to do with the goat when you're walking over to it.
Yeah, so we went back and we didn't have free time until 2 p.m. So it was in the back of my mind. I was like,
You're reeling. You're the excitement.
Yeah, but I'm like thinking, what am I going to do? So we get some free time and I'm watching YouTube videos of how to skin a goat, butcher a goat as I'm walking down. Probably a bad idea given the terrain. But I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't have an esky, I didn't have ice. I think I had some garbage bags.
Real bad.
Yeah. And some cordage.
Yeah.
And a Leatherman. So we went down, and that's when everything went wrong.
Turned into a butcher.
Oh, I don't even know if I could call it that. And by this time, like, the word had got around, and all the young kids, like the younger adults, wanted to come and see it, which made me extra nervous because now I'm looking after like these 20-year-olds going down there, and they're all keen. And I'm like, these guys are going to fall and die
On you.
Yeah, just because they want to see some dumb goat. But yeah, we got down there, and I tried to create, a hook to lift it up. Epic fail. The stick that I put through it was like bending, and it was soaking wet, so it was really heavy.
Nanny?
Yeah. And I didn't know it was a nanny. When I looked at it, I saw horns, and I thought, oh, that means it's a billy. I literally know nothing.
It's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
You're like that. Females don't have any.
Yeah. So you get down there, hang it over like the corner of a rock, the stick, and I start butchering it. We have some friends coming in. Another goat.
Is it actually?
I don't know. Kangaroo, probably.
Silly.
But yeah, I unzip it it was hanging outside, and I unzipped it from the bottom up. And, the wrong thing to do. I think you were saying you and Alex watching it and just having a...
We had a laugh at these videos because his friends filmed it more for comedic value.
Yeah. Doing everything wrong.
And it popped.
Yeah.
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 Green, good, all the way out. And I thought, big brain move. I'll just fill up a garbage bag and flush it out with water. It doesn't work. So I get the garbage bag and I tip it into the carcass, like the open cavity. And because of like where the breast is, it just came up. It just went all back onto me. I'm still on a time crunch. We have to get back to the next session.
It's like 3 o'clock or something. Yeah, an hour of spare time.
Yeah, not long.
You're covered in guts.
I'm covered in guts, and eventually I'm just taking the back legs, hack the head off. I break my Leatherman in the process, and head back up. So
They got a lifetime warranty.
yeah, I got that. Yeah, I got that. I thought you meant the goat. I'm like, what do you mean?
The warranty.
It's not back. It's defective.
That warranty's over.
Yeah.
The boys had fun filming it. They both looked at it.
Yeah.
So you're on
the
the
owner was stoked. He was really happy for me, which like made it a lot better. He let me use this outdoor fridge. Otherwise, it would have just gone to waste because we still had another day there.
And then what did you do? Took it home?
Took it home, buried the head, made a nice roast. It was really good.
Yeah.
I was shocked. My mum was in town and she was visiting at the time and she ate some. She made us some goat sandwiches.
Your wife not so keen?
Yeah. She didn't want to say it, but she was not eating leftovers. Let's just say that.
The flavour, or you think it was the emotional? If you think it was so nice, it wouldn't be the flavour.
I think it's just all new to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't quite know what to make of it. I mean, she doesn't like eating leftovers of restaurant food. So this is a whole different thing.
It's a big thing for someone randomly to take on in their family. So you've taken it home, cooked some stuff with it. Your mum loved it. And what did you do there? You said buried it in the garden.
Yeah.
Still there. Still doing its thing. And then that was it. That's your first time.
First time, and then 2 weeks later, we went to Nundle.
Was it that close?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty close.
I mean, yeah, so that the first hunting experience was pretty close together, but it was over a year to get to that point of all the licensing.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up, but I touched on it with your post on Hunters Club. You really broke down what it took you to get to that point. Time, steps, and financially.
Yeah.
Remember that in your head, roughly? Some statistics.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned, first of all, like getting over the demoralization of it all. Like, there's just no way in Australia, it's not possible. Like, I don't come from a hunting background, it's not going to happen. To finally just making it happen. I don't think it would have happened without Chris's club or without yourself sending me that initial voice message inviting me to Camden Pub for the event.
Yeah, it must have been random. I just was cold calling, I think.
Yeah.
And you took me up on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I'm not going to get a more warm welcome than this. I have to go.
Yeah.
And that was probably the hardest thing going to that event.
Really?
That I was so nervous. Like, because like I was saying, like I'm the guy that, like, you know, doesn't get it. And I didn't get it. I remember I was just starting and I walked in to this dimly lit pub, not knowing who I'm looking for, trying to not look like a lost dog.
Everyone looked like lost dogs that night.
I knew that you were there selling cookies. So I'm like, okay.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Good cookies, not.
We didn't end up talking until like the very last bit of the night. But anyway, you know, people talk different than me, different accents, different things are going on. People asking me what my favorite type of deer to hunt is, what's my favorite caliber. I'm like, just a different.
I have no answers.
That was really hard on the ego that night, but it was probably like the best possible situation. Yeah.
Well, good on you for taking the lead.
I mean,
It's turned out all right.
yeah, it turned out all right. I think I had to make it turn out all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so the whole year plus before that, getting the license, booking in the course for the safety course, yeah, like the storage, joining the club.
What about even just choosing your first rifle?
Oh, I mean, this is the thing about, like, this is catch-22 with getting into hunting because you don't know anyone. You're asking the internet for recommendations and advice, and that's almost worse because people in the comments are like disagreeing with each other.
Dangerous.
And you don't know what to believe, but you don't know anyone, so that's the best thing you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was another issue. And what happened is I got my PTA and because I was sitting on it for so long, I didn't realize this, or maybe I did, but I didn't action it. My PTA expired, and I didn't realize you have to do the however period long it is again if it expires.
Oh.
So I think maybe it's 90 days or something.
It lasts for 90 days.
Yeah,
but you had to do the 28 days.
The first again. One, yeah, you have to do that waiting period again. So it actually can't cut really close to the wire before, first hunting event. So yeah, but I ordered in time, but the order took ages, and so by the time the gun came in, the PTA had already expired. So it was a very difficult process.
You said that cost was a barrier to entry. You'd run some numbers on what it cost you. Do you remember?
Yeah, like all the gear. I don't remember.
When you say all the gear, it's not like you haven't got high-end gear. You're not doing it.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, sorry, it's light shorts I've given you.
Yeah.
Mr. Flatto inside out, massive hole in the back.
Massive hole in the back. Let me see if I can find the numbers.
Top of the line's probably not what I meant, but like you've got a good assortment of camping gear that is from your, background in bushcraft and That's sort of interesting.
Yeah, I had to start like, gas canisters. I don't know.
Or you had what's the thing you slept in? The hammock?
The hammock, yeah.
I know how to sleep in a hammock. What have we got?
They will now. Profty's doing it now. He's on board.
Yeah, he's the hammock.
Yeah.
Hammock man. I saw that in the video.
I mean, the hunting club's $200. Firearm safety's $150. The license is $200. PTA's $30. I mean, there's the scope. So that's close to $4K for everything, which is like upfront a big cost. You're not borrowing things. It's like,
I swear, I said to you this thing the other day, and I hadn't even considered this. You might not even like it.
yeah. So you have to go and buy everything, get all the licenses before you can even try the thing. If you don't have, well,
You
if you do have friends.
You can try at a range, but it's not the same.
thing.
You can't try hunting. There's no way to legally try hunting
Right.
and do the shooting part
Yeah.
in Australia. Even on the guide situation, I'm like 99% sure. So we can do a safari license for an international client. I can't do one for an Australian resident unlicensed.
Yeah.
So
Discrimination.
you just can't. Yeah, well, it's weird. You just can't try it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that, like, I'm investing all this money
Make it nervous.
and, we could be spending it in other places.
Your wife was supportive enough.
Yeah. I think there was like a good tax return or something. But
Yeah, right.
I'm thinking, what if I do this and I hate it?
Yeah.
Or just like for whatever reason doesn't work out.
It fizzes out.
I mean, luckily that's not
I was going to say, jumping forward a little bit, do you feel like you're fully committed and it's not going to fizz anymore? Or you think it's just like a 5-year thing and you might move on?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I hope not. One of the big things was I mentioned wanting to take the responsibility of feeding myself, but that extends to my family as well. So I want to keep doing that. I like being outdoors.
You've done that today.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. That's exciting.
Yeah. Today was interesting day.
Today was a long day.
Very productive.
Very productive. What did the young fella say to son? You said declines or something, and he said they had a lot of, I can't remember what you called it.
Oh, ascend, descend.
Yeah, ascend.
There's a lot of hills today.
A lot of ascending today is what he said, I think. Yeah, there was a lot of hills. There's a lot of hills here. But the whole emotions of the day ascended from meeting them this morning for the first time, learning about them, teaching them all day, and then going out on the first hunt for both of them. Well, sorry, it wasn't the first hunt for the dad, but it was the first time both of them had the opportunity to harvest an animal. And then both did it well enough. Ended up with a couple of goats on the ground. And it was like, you're here as doing the course as well, but from a friendship point of view, and also, thank you for all the work you do for me and things. But you're, still learning and still whatnot. So you sat down in the course, you did all the classwork, and then you headed out and you bought your firearm and everything. And we kind of ran out of puff at one point after the goats, and we decided we were coming back for water, mostly because they'd run out of water. I still had a little bit left, and we finished. And you asked me a question about turning off my game.
Oh yeah,
eyes, because we had enough goats. Like, we were done, and I said, and they never turn off. I can't turn off my game eyes. I can turn off my mouth that'll tell you that I've seen things.
Even driving up here, I don't know how you do it. Like, this spot stuff's so quick.
Yeah, just skill, just practice. Sorry, you just any skill you repetitively use gets stronger, and knowing. I'm giving away free tips from the course now, but narrowing down the places to look, so you're not wasting time looking in the open, in the middle of the day when it's hot, when you're looking for deer, that will most likely be in the shade. Wasted time. And so when I'm driving around, you're always subconsciously looking on the brakes when you see things, even though you can't do anything about it. And today was no different. And then you asked, can I turn it off? And I said, no. Sorry. Something happened after that. And it's not that I turned it off. I was just looking the other direction. And the younger fellow was sitting in the back of the buggy.
Well, you saw the goats back near the camp.
Yes.
And it's like, well, because I hadn't got a goat yet.
That's right. That's right. So the other guys had shot. And we're trying to get you a goat today too, so that we could spend tomorrow doing the full butchery stuff. Otherwise, we would have had to get up at like 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, go on a hunt, which is, it's not the end of the world, but it would have made tomorrow a lot bigger day. And they ended up making tonight a big night. So yeah, we were on our way back and we spotted some goats near camp, and we had agreed that we'd go and look at them. Whether we shot one or not was yet to be seen. Well, the answer is we didn't, but we were just going to go and look at them. And I reckon we drove another 200 metres or 300 metres.
Not far.
And the young fella just said, there's a deer there, with a lot of excitement. And
I think it was just deer.
That's probably what it was. Deer. And I locked on the brakes because as soon as he said it, I just... And I want you to describe what you saw.
It was like a glowing beacon framed up in this window of green.
Yeah.
And
it's better than how I would have said there was a deer and some blackberries.
Because we saw some deer here. And for me, compared to goats, they're so much harder to see in the landscape. I don't know why.
Well, they were
skinnier legs or what it is.
No, well, the ones you're referencing were up on tussock grass, which is light brown, green, like it blends into their skin a lot better with their tan colours. And this one had a backdrop of very dark blackberries, and in front of it, which is, I think it was just green grass. And it was like this weird,
Sun was just
weird gap in the, it wasn't even a clearing, but this weird gap that led down. You know, when you're learning about drawing vector lines and things at school, you learn this. This is what it was. It was these two channels led down and pointed at this offering that just stood there.
Yeah.
And
that stopped standing there.
No, did not. And I reckon in total, probably 2 minutes, this thing stood there, did not move an inch, and just stared at us. Right. And that was, we've got it on video, not all of it, but so at the start we spotted it and it was standing still.
And we're making noise. We're in the buggy.
Yeah, and we're 140, I think 138 away from it. So yes, noisy, but enough for it to be alert. I turned it off straight away. And it just stood there. So I think I said to you, get your gun together real quick. Because you'd packed up. It was in a bag. You'd bagged it up, trigger locked it. We were done for the day. We were sort of heading back. Unammoed. Taking your ammo out. And I said, get your gun together real quick. If you can have a shot at that, you can take it. If you feel comfortable taking a shot at that, you can take it. And then you can talk. You can tell the rest.
I mean, as soon as you made the offer, like, all I could see was red.
Yeah. Green.
It was on. Yeah.
Still green. Green go.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
So it's faffing around a bit. You know, I'm trying to be quiet. But
I thought this thing was going to run. It was alert. I think I have to look at the footage. I'm pretty sure its front foot was like bent, like on 3 legs on the ground, ready to run. Mm-hmm. I'll have to look. But so I've got the camera set up next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have to look it back.
So I'm getting set up, ammo in. I don't really remember. I think you were talking to me, but I'm not really listening.
Well, it's all on. It's in the audio on the camera. I said, make sure you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, don't rush it.
So, I think in my mind, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, because I have such limited shooting experience. So I'm like, what's uncomfortable?
Yeah.
This is like,
so you were standing and you were leaning the left-hand side of the rifle against the front pillar of the buggy and shooting across the bonnet.
Yeah.
That's the description of how it happened. And I suppose by saying that, I mean, do you feel confident in the shot you're about to take, knowing that you've only ever shot one animal before? So, yeah, I don't really.
Yeah.
That's something I would say to everyone, but in fairness to you, it's like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
What's your baseline of what comfortable even is? So, yeah, fair point. Yeah. And then something happened. I said, what happened? And you're like, oh, my magazine wasn't in, or I think you cycled or something. And
Oh, yeah. I didn't cycle. There was nothing in there. So,
anyway, deer's still standing there.
yeah.
And then
I'm like, oh, look, what position is good? Because I'm like, the angle of the buggy is a little bit, it does not, there was something to sit on.
No.
So I'm like, should I do this? Should I do this? Faffing around. And then I zoomed in on scope and I lost it on the scope. So, redid that. And it was still there. And I'm like, well, it wasn't doing this and the crosshairs. I'm on it. It's it?
That's description of comfortable right there.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't feel good. Like, it didn't feel bad. It just animal crosshairs. What else do you need?
Yeah.
So I took the shot, and again, I don't really know, like, if I hit it or not. I think it was pretty obvious that I hit it because it was running, and I could see it, limping a little bit, but it was going quick.
Mm.
How far? Maybe it ran up like 100 meters.
No, it was more than that. We got a lot more than that. I think it was closer to 200. And it was side hilling on some steep stuff.
Oh, yeah. I
So-
don't know how they do that.
I knew you hit it hard. I could hear the shot. So it makes, I don't know if you heard it or you've ever heard it or noticed it, but it's a solid thud when it hits.
I don't remember hearing. I don't even remember hearing the
It's just
gunshot.
it makes that, and that's what you hear back after the shot. So I knew it was a good hit, and I was watching on the screen. I wasn't watching through binos. I was more concerned about trying to film the dang thing because it looked so pretty. And then it ran, but I could tell it was hit from the run. And I think it made it about 200 meters. And at that point, I forgot to move the camera, so the camera was still pointing at where you shot it. And then I whipped the camera back up. It was too zoomed in, zoomed out, found it again, zoomed in, just in time for it to run its last 4 or 5 meters. And then I think it tripped and then turned back on itself and then ended downhill. And then it went downhill. And then it went downhill.
Yeah.
And then it went a little bit more downhill. And it rolled and then went out of our sight down into the bottom of this little ravine or little creek at the bottom. There was a fair few high fives.
I don't remember anything.
You don't remember any of it?
I think that's probably high fives.
No, there was high fives and fist pumps and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
wacko jacko, I called you.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Jacko put the smack down on it. Yeah, we were all stoked. And young fella in the back was stoked because he saw it.
Yeah.
I was stoked
Playing that.
to see you not complete that part, but to do it. And there was always the brief conversation on this trip of, it's just before the rut. We're here for a goat hunt, really. What are we going to do if we see a buck?
You asked that question early.
Yeah, it's been on my mind for a while coming into this trip. Because, yes, it's a goat hunt. And I want these guys to have a good experience. But I'm also conscious of if someone shoots a buck on their first experience into hunting, like it nearly gives them a false sense of that's normal. And I want to say that beginners don't deserve that straight away, which might sound weird. It is weird. And it's probably not even the right way to say it. But I just feel like
You need to pay your dues first.
well, nearly, and it worked well for you. It was at the right time for you, and you put in the hard yards for 2 years now, nearly, since you started. And that's why I said to you, it's your turn. The other guys had shot anyway today, and they were not disappointed in how it went.
Mm-hmm.
They were stoked.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, high fives all around. So then we parked up the buggy, left it there, and we headed down. We found a damn goat, which is odd. It stunk. And we headed down. And we were probably only 2/3 the way down to the bottom, and he was up the other side. And I said to the other guys, I said, this is getting pretty rough. You didn't hear this because you'd already stormed off because you were full of adrenaline, chasing this dream. I said, it's pretty rough down here. You might want to just hang back at the buggy and we'll find it and let you know how the traverse goes instead of bringing the young fella down. And so they did. They went back and sat on a tree and sort of watched us walk in, had them on the walkie-talkies. But then we got to the bottom, but we couldn't see him. And again, I'll ask you for your description because my description is just going to be blackberries everywhere.
Yeah.
That's your description? I thought it was going to be more poetic.
Well, it came down.
Into a
We didn't see how steep it was at the
really dived off.
the last 50 meters.
Really dived off. Both sides too.
There's actually a really nice river, like creek at the bottom, but pretty hard access-wise.
Yeah, dropped in on both sides. And I reckon there was maybe 10 or 15 metres of blackberries up the side. Thick, dense, and just ouchy. But then slightly to the right, at my end, where I dropped in, was like an old slide. It had a slip, and it had wiped out the blackberries. The ground had collapsed. But what had replaced it was Scotch thistle. Yeah. And that was thick, but it was thin enough that we could walk through it. And I thought we'd walk through that and just crest over. Not crest, because it's still steep. It was the last little bit of blackberries at the top. And then we'd be out of the blackberries because it was clear on the other side. But once we got to that point, it was like an impenetrable wall of blackberries. Like dead, but you couldn't climb it because it was so steep. For those watching, like that. For those listening, just picture steep. And then add some more steepness. And then a little bit steep on that. But there was dead blackberries just covered like a carpet. So you couldn't climb it because it would just rip you to shreds in your hands and knees. Anyway, I looked to my left and there's a game trail. Not just a normal game trail. This thing was a tunnel that was, I reckon, 700 mil high, 600 mil high, and maybe 800 mil wide.
Yeah.
With, again, a slope to it.
And two not so small dudes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in the X's of the L's in the sizing of things. And because we had backpacks on, we had to get them through. So we just said, no, that's it. It's got to go that way. We can't go up. It's too dangerous. And I went first, put the backpack down, and I was using that. So I put it down and then put my hands on that and shuffle. And my knees, I've probably still got blackberry thorns in there.
Yeah.
My knuckles hurting because I had one go right in and it might even still be in there, but it went like into the joint because I felt it when I moved my finger. It just stayed in there. Anyway, we got through there, poked out the other side, and again, it's super steep. I'm wearing
these steeper this time.
And you lower boots, and I know you're running lowers too. Man, though, like not sponsored by Lower. If they want to, I'll talk about it. It's so comfortable. Like it was one of the steepest sides I've done in Australia. And you just put your boot in like that and the hills like that and it's comfortable. I'm just walking because they're so stiff, which is not a good thing in some situations. For all the steep hilly stuff, man, I felt really confident in that situation. Anyway, side hilled.
Maybe more confident than you should have been. I was nervous for you.
Was I? Were you?
Yeah.
Because I was pushing a bit hard or?
I could see and it was not, the ground was loose.
Yeah.
And there was not a lot to grab onto.
No. And what was to grab was sharp.
Yeah. You don't want to grab onto it.
I didn't realise that at the time. Maybe I was pushing a bit hard. Just wanted to find the dang thing. Anyway, we're side hilling along and I came across, well, we were kind of not lost, but we were looking for a reference point. We were watching the video back trying to find where this thing had died, or had tumbled. And we found a tree that would look, very unique and whatnot. So we were looking for that. And before I even saw that, though, I crossed over a section that had just been turned up, and I looked up and looked down, and then you could see a bit of blood go down. And then I could see the blackberries at the bottom. The leaves had turned over. Okay, been disturbed. He's in there. I still couldn't see him because, again, super steep down. But once I got to the blackberries, it was a cliff face.
Yeah.
And that's where he dropped in. So instantly we just said, we need rope. What have we got in our bags? And I pulled out this pretty purple bit of paracord that's like 3 meters long. And then another roll of D-loop cord from my bow, which is probably 20 meters long. And then you were there with a professional piece of proper paracord. And we dropped our packs and we started descending down what was worse. And then we realised we still couldn't see him.
Yeah.
And he was down somewhere in that channel, but not at the bottom. Because we walked at the bottom and couldn't see.
We would have walked straight past it.
And we realised we couldn't do it. There was no recovery from there.
There's no way to pull it out.
There was nowhere to see it. And it was just the blackberries.
Yeah.
Without having a tarp or something to put down to get onto, or just absolutely deal with the fact you're going to get munched by blackberries.
And no ripe blackberries on the bushes either.
It was terrible. It was no better. And the upside. It was weird. It was like in a shoulder season. They were either dried up black ones or bright red ones.
Yeah.
It's the back end of the season. That's the problem. They just haven't ripened up. And I don't know if they will. I think they'll stay red and then die off. But couldn't get to it. So the instant realization was not only that we couldn't get him, it was we had to go back through the tunnel. That was, in my head, I'm like, that's the worst part of the situation now. He's going back through that stupid tunnel. Because I thought we were going to find him, get some photos, chop him up, and walk out that side, which was steeper.
But you didn't have to go back.
But didn't have to go back. Wasn't the case. Back through the dang tunnel, out the other side, down the bottom. You did some windicating with your Scotch thistle, Salt Bay.
Yeah. Worked really well.
It does work well. And then, not that it matters when you've got a dead deer on the ground. We went back
Doesn't help find dead deers.
No, deers. We went down the bottom. We went along to where we knew he was, still couldn't see him. And it wasn't until, I don't know if I got my binoculars. No, I didn't have him. You spotted him. That's right. And there's just like a fraction of white, like a tiny little bit of white between the blackberries. It was, this sort of size. And that was it. We found him. Woohoo. Couldn't get him out. Still couldn't get him out because he was up a cliff and I could stand at the base of the cliff and reach into the blackberries and I was still nearly a metre away from him. So you come up with the cracking idea of getting you. I tried sticks trying to bash it down and whatnot. Wasn't working. You threw me your backpack and we laid your backpack down and then I got up a bit further and I was like 400 mil from his legs. And what had happened, because he'd slid down the hill, he'd piled up all the blackberries with him and then they'd caught him at the bottom in a net. Yeah. So he had them over him and under him and around his legs and he was just in this basket holding him there. It's just a wicket. It was a wicked. Yeah. It was just a terrible net. So you got me a stick. It was long and then came back on itself like hook, a separate branch. And with that in your bag, I was just able to hook his leg and get his toes untangled enough to get it to me to grab it. Then I thought, oh, cool, I've got it. It's going to be over. No. He was still so stuck in there. I was yanking. And then in my mind, I'm like, I'm on a cliff covered in blackberries and he's just going to come and straight over me.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen. Finally, he budged his way out, budge, and
millimetre at a time.
Flopped out onto the floor.
Yeah. Into the river.
And it was beautiful. It was always beautiful, but man, it's a pretty bug. And you don't realise what you've shot.
No.
He's sitting here on the ground next to us.
Yeah.
So, you put some photos up, but yeah. Oh, yeah, well, you don't remember. What point does your memory kick back in on the fine details?
Oh, cutting it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So later, once the cut up started.
Yeah.
So we got on the ground and we got some photos and did all that stuff and decided what you're going to do with it. And you decided to go for a flat skin. Mm-hmm. Rob Trivia.
Yeah.
What's his skin called? WizKid skins, maybe. And you're going to do a Euro mount.
Yeah.
Because that's about all you can fit in an apartment. Or
well,
in a townhouse or wherever you live.
Yeah.
But then the butchery stuff. It didn't go as well as the red. Not that there was any problem, but there was only the two of us.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, the other guys were there, but they were there in spirit. Yeah. They were there to watch. And they watched.
Well, they got the extra module.
They did get the... Actually, he asked me, Tony, he goes, what's in module 2? I was like, much like module 1 today. because you got stuff that wasn't supposed to be in there. And he's just pre-rut. I reckon he's 110 kilos. We were struggling to move him. So we did full body skin. We ended up hoiking him up in a tree to a certain extent. I was picturing being able to rip the hide off, but we only had paracord and a dodgy bit of stick. So every movement we made that required a bit of pull down, we heard a creak or a crack from the branch that was only just holding on between his legs. So that wasn't actually that helpful. Full skin off, or at least down to his shoulders, and then I gutted him so we could lose some weight to lift him higher.
And this is both of us.
Yeah. A fair little
chipping away.
Eagle Hawk talents.
Me doing a pretty average job. And we'd switch out.
We'd swap sides and he'd do one slice in.
God, I ruined it over here.
One slice in and he'd say, I'm doing all right over here. This looks good. I'm like, yeah, because you're in my section. So apologies, Rob, when you do get the skin and it looks like a checkers board. Because there's like no real clean section and your messy part. But we got it done. And what'd you find under the skin?
Oh, yeah, bullet.
Yeah, perfect 270. Mushroomed up on the other side, which is great.
Same thing on the red.
Yeah, they worked well. I found that too. So another little keepsake for you, but then it got dark and we had a few rainstorms while we were down there. Just clouds come over and...
Yeah, every 20 minutes.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 minutes of decent rain.
Yeah.
Enough to make you think about getting your jacket. And that was dark by the time we finished. I think it was 9 o'clock by the time we left the bottom. Or just before 9.
Yeah.
Headlamps on. And because the other two fellas came down not really fully grasping the situation, they actually just came down with their water bottles. Lucky they would carry 77 headlamps. And everyone got a headlamp. You get a headlamp. It's like Oprah. Everyone got a headlamp. And we walked out and got to the buggy. But there was a heavy pack out. It was steep exit. I had back leg, front leg, and something else, plus all my gear, full backpack. You had back leg, front leg, skin and head.
That was the heaviest thing I've carried, period, in a pack.
Other than the burden of being a friend with me, but this as the person who shoots it, you get to carry the best parts.
Yeah.
So, and then the other guys, one guy carried the back straps, I think. Had the back straps over back. So, yeah, that was a big day. And you saw?
It's a good saw.
That's a good saw.
Yeah.
It's the good fun. It's the one that you'll have fun now, not at the time.
Yeah.
The long bird fun.
I wasn't having a bad time, but my body was saying, hey, stop. I'm here. Give me sugar.
Yeah, we could do it at the top up. I ran out of water on that last walk up.
Yeah.
You ran out of candy.
Oh, well, yeah, and I filtered some water down there, thank goodness. There was some, I don't know if it was flowing water, but I filtered it anyway.
I was sewing.
I'm not sick now, so
yeah,
it's fine.
It might be the last time you see Jack. So, no, I'm super pumped to have you here. I appreciate your assistance. But I'm super pumped for you to enjoy that because you earned it. You deserved it. So,
yeah. After letting you get that one, I apparently couldn't see. Let the red go through to
letting me get the one you hadn't seen. Yeah.
Somehow.
This is payback.
No, it's awesome. I didn't even know what to make of it, really.
It might take you some time to work that out.
Yeah. I just like it. I think, because I'm not, overjoyed. I think because I've been working for so long to make it happen, and I'm just like, oh, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. And I'm only just starting, which is a crazy part.
Yeah. Emotion-wise, I think you and I are similar in that we can be happy without showing our teeth. We don't have to be like, this is amazing. It's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is fun.
That's what it's supposed to be.
This is awesome. Yeah. And it'll sink in, and I can't wait to see the look on your kids' faces. I really don't want you to tell them on the drive home. I want to just
Yeah.
'Cause I'm sure they're probably going to be with your wife and she picks you up.
Well, this is what we did last time. We just dropped me off at Costco, and then they picked.
That's right. Oh, yeah. And they weren't there. So we dropped all your stuff in a trolley, including like goat or whatever it was, or bags of red deer.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That was a wholesale goat, but not from Costco. Oh dear. But yeah, we'll see what happens this time.
I nearly want to make them drive to my house just so I can see their reaction.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so stoked for you.
It's cool.
Well, I'm stoked.
And this place is awesome. Like, if people have a chance to come out here,
I mean, we've seen some critters. That's true.
oh man, this place is flowing.
Like, I'm not yawning now because I'm peeking because it's a cool story and whatnot. But when we got here the other morning, or also UFOs, that's a side story. Like, I don't even think I really want to talk about it. I'll probably tear up because it was weird. There was some super weird lights in the sky that we got videos of, and not great videos because you can never get good videos of UFOs.
Oh, and using binos to watch the moon, that was it.
There was new discoveries. We were like so awake. It's 2 a.m. No, it must have been later.
I think it was 3:30 by the time I went to bed.
Yeah, because it was 2:30 when I started seeing those lights. Anyway, side topic. But no, I now forgot where I was going. Oh, we got up early in the morning to set up. We were up at 6:30, and we couldn't set up because we just looking through the binos, and I'm like, Jack, there's deer over here, and he'd come over and have a look, and he's like, Jack, there's deer down here. However, this side and have a look. And yeah, it was cool. That's the most deer I've seen in one morning session.
Really?
Yeah. We're up to about to start. I'm excited for that because these guys are turning up. We found this guy, where he shot him was not far from his scrape, a little scrape he just started there on the ground.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. He's full coloured. He's been rubbed out for a while. And there's some rubs just around camp, and he wasn't that far from camp, so that might have been him. No one was going to have been. Anyway.
It's exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
No, it's good. Look forward to enjoying it with you for the future. Anyway, that's about all we got to cover tonight. It's time to go to bed. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, listening. Until next time, have a good night.
Bye.